Hey, folks, this clip is brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. For better coverage, better rates, and better service, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ. That is Farm Bureau Health Plans. All right. Recruiting. We haven't had a recruiting segment in quite some time, but I think you got to talk about this. Coming into the weekend, you saw from Jordan Seaton, who is a 5-star offensive lineman. He canceled a visit to Oklahoma and chose to come to Tennessee, and then was tweeting all of this stuff about Tennessee. This is the only color orange that I like. Go Vols! And he was doing all this stuff, gassing up Tennessee fans. You hear from the recruiting reporters that in a general sense it went really well. It's hard for it to not go really well when you have the dark mode in that environment and the whole deal. And then Tennessee, of course, wins in that environment. It just builds on it even more exponentially there. Did you see any recruiting tidbits out there about this, Zach? Because this just seemed like a guy who, if Tennessee could get, it would be so huge. When you look at how important, like Darnell Wright, I was thinking Darnell Wright was for Tennessee. You just need another dog on that offensive line, and you got to think Seaton could be one. What'd you see about this, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're seeing that you load up on defensive linemen and you have really good offensive linemen. You're probably going to win a lot of games in the SEC. The rest of the stuff will kind of take care of itself, and that was certainly true on Saturday night because that was really what won the game for Tennessee. So definitely a guy that Tennessee needs to get, wants to get, would be a huge addition. It seems like they're really on the right track here. I mean, he talked to, I think, VolQuest about how much time Josh Heupel spent with him. How real Heupel was, kind of a lot of the things we've heard about Heupel, that he's just a good dude that's just normal to talk to. It's not like getting a sales pitch from people all the time. It's Heupel just hanging out like dudes would hang out, like with a buddy. And I think that's what's so relatable about Heupel. He's close with Boo Carter as well, Tennessee commit that was also at the South Carolina game. Hopefully Boo Carter ends up in Tennessee. It seems like he's going to. I know some of those visits to Colorado have made people a little uneasy, but honestly, if I had a chance to go to Colorado right now, I'd probably want to go check out a game in that environment and see what it was all about as well, just to experience it, because it is pretty amazing what's been happening out there. So, otherwise, I think they're in a good spot for him. We'll see how it plays out. There's still a couple of months here left to go. I think he's still got to get an official visit in, which is when they can really roll the red carpet out for him, and maybe that takes it to another level. But it's kind of hard to think that another team could jump Tennessee at this point. They always could, but the things that he was saying, it feels like Tennessee's in the driver's seat, and they just got to kind of continue what they're doing here. He's a borderline 5-star guy, too. I mean, he's right. He'll probably be a 5-star, like a full 5-star on all the services by the time the next, updates are done and before the final rankings come out for this recruiting class, which sometimes is after they sign.
Yeah, I think, let's see, on 3 has him as the number 1 offensive tackle in the class 2024. And then, 247, number 3 offensive tackle. He was a 4-star on 247. But, of course, like you said, you got to think by the end of it, if on 3 is thinking that highly of him, there's a pretty good chance he's going to end as a 5-star on both services there. And actually, Ben, I did see this. I saw somebody tweet about this. Austin Price has said that, this is from Ben Hall in the comment. Austin Price has said Boo Carter had been recruiting Seaton really hard to Tennessee. Yeah, apparently they're boys. And that's amazing, and obviously makes you feel better about the Boo Carter recruitment too.
Hopefully Brian Niedermeyer doesn't get into his ear, since Seaton does go to IMG Academy, where Moose Niedermeyer is on staff down there, and celebrated pretty openly when Carnell Tate committed to Ohio State over Tennessee last year, if you don't recall that. In fact, it resulted in me getting blocked on Twitter by Brian Niedermeyer. I think I just quote tweeted it with like, "Look at this guy" or something. But either way, hopefully he's not in his ear trying to sway him somewhere else.
Yeah, you and most people. I was looking. Yeah, on LinkedIn, Niedermeyer is still at IMG. He's it just lists Oh, it doesn't actually. Oh no, it says. Doesn't this mean you're unemployed? It says hashtag open to work on his LinkedIn.
Yeah,
But
I
I mean,
don't. No telling with him.
regardless, I'm just looking at the public LinkedIn page.
Hey, look, I appreciate what he tried to do when he was at Tennessee. He pulled out all the stops to get all the recruits. I mean, he just didn't hide it very well.
Yeah, that was not well appreciated. I want to say I'm blocked also because I clowned on him for that. Regardless, whether he is there or not, yeah, this would be a massive, massive pickup, and hopefully Boo Carter is working on it like that, because man, that would just be awesome. Because there has been a little bit of criticism of Heupel there, that the offensive lineman recruiting has been not as good as you would hope it would be with how good Heupel's offense is. Obviously the wide receiver position recruits itself, and quarterback has been elite, and some things like that. And people have kind of looked and been like, offensive line, it could be better. And this, that would obviously kill that criticism if you were to get Jordan Seaton here. Farm Bureau Health Plans has been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years, and much has changed in Tennessee over the years, but some has stayed the same. Farm Bureau Health Plans has always valued personal relationships, especially when it comes to good health and good service. Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for health, dental, and vision. For better coverage, better rates, and better service, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ or walk into one of their 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. That is fbhp.com/ATOZ. Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, I think there's some negative recruiting that's probably happened there with the offensive line, but Darnell Wright getting top 10 pick should help alleviate some of that. Same stuff we saw with the wide receivers. You're starting to see a little bit of that go away with Jalen Hyatt every time he gets on the field for the Giants, which he'll be on the field here again in 20, 30 minutes on Monday Night Football. Seems like good things happen, but the Giants aren't putting him out there enough, and Giants fans are pretty tore up about that. So I don't doesn't seem like Heupel's offense held him back too much. When he's out there, he's getting open. That Daniel Jones doesn't have time to get the ball to anybody.
Yeah, that as long as he's doing that, you're not going to have, and Tennessee is doing what it does on offense, you're not going to have any trouble getting a guy like a Mike Matthews to commit to Tennessee. But you did also have, I think Cam Mikell was another big one that was in town. He's just an athlete, 4-star in the class of 2024. At the moment, favored to Georgia, it looks like. But that was another big one that those you just got to hope that they got the message, that they saw the environment, that it all comes across as, don't you want to come here, play in front of this crowd, get in on what Tennessee is putting together. And then when you're competing against Georgia at this point, you just got to pray. You did the best you could. And then you just, that's that.
It's impossible to recruit against two, back-to-back national champions. It's a slow burn what Heupel's building and recruiting. You keep landing top 10 classes, you're going to build up talent and depth, and you'll slowly get into that top 5, top 3 that you need to be in.
Cam Mikell is also going to visit at Texas A&M, one at Kentucky too. I don't want
Kentucky. That's nice that he's going to give them a visit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to put Kentucky down, but I'm going to assume Texas A&M is probably competition there. And Kentucky is, nice of him to go there and give them the time of day. But let's be honest here. So that's pretty much all of it with recruiting. Was there anything else with the recruiting? That's really, we like to go deep on the recruiting in the off season, but it's just nice to see Tennessee get a big win in a nice environment in front of big recruits. It's always great. You got to talk about it. But was there anything else?
You keep putting out these environments and these Saturday night games and dark mode uniforms with these awesome light shows and entrances and primetime games, and you win those games and recruits get to experience that environment, that celebration. It's going to keep paying off. It's not just a one-off deal. I mean, you've seen several of these environments: Florida last year, Alabama, Kentucky, South Carolina this year. It's starting to add up where recruits are like, okay, if I come here, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be a part of this. They start to trust that. They start to trust what Heupel's building, because I'm sure Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Billy Napier, anybody that's recruiting against Tennessee, not that Napier has room to talk, can say like, hey, yeah, they're a one-hit wonder. Look how they lost to Florida early this season on the road. They can't sustain this. I have no doubt that that's what's being said out there on the recruiting trail, and Tennessee's just got to keep trying to prove that wrong.
For sure. Brandon Coleman says our home game streak is a great thing to lean on.
Was
with
it like
inviting
12 now?
recruits. Yeah, that sounds right. Just really impressive how good Heupel has been at home, and just in general, I did really like there was some I don't know, Homer, South Carolina account that posted something like, "What has Josh Heupel done that makes him so much better than Shane Beamer in the same exact amount of time?" Said something along those lines, and Tennessee fans clowned on it. I also think it's a pretty valid question because Tennessee is a more powerful program with better resources, but I would say that you started in a tougher spot with Tennessee. Sanctions looming over you, 30 guys transferring out, yada yada yada. We all know what happened there, and it. I mean, it's just coaching, right? Like it just is the power of the scheme that Josh Heupel runs and the things that he does that set him apart. Where Beamer, it just seems like he's I don't want to say completely living off nepotism, but it feels like he's a little in over his head. And
well, when the best offensive coordinator you can get,
as I can be.
When the best offensive coordinator you could get was a tight ends coach at Arkansas, that's pretty telling, right? But he's 17-14 through 31 games. Josh Heupel's 22-9. Jeremy Pruitt was 15-16 at Tennessee through 31 games. He's closer to what Jeremy Pruitt's done at Tennessee than what Josh Heupel's done. He's more on Jeremy Pruitt's level. I mean, the wins and losses show that. And really, Heupel should be 23-8 because we know they beat Purdue. Maybe 24-7. That Ole Miss game got pretty wacky too. If we're being honest, that could have went the other direction with some bad calls and like that strip sack fumble that wasn't called. But either way, yeah, Heupel's clearly accomplished, I think, significantly more.
Absolutely.